When you think of Italy, what comes to mind? Roman gladiators, Leaning Tower of Pisa, maybe some guy named Luigi tossing pizza dough while singing opera. Well, hold on to your pasta because everything you think you know about Italy is about to get turned upside down faster than a tourist getting scammed at the Trevi fountain. Sure, everyone knows about the Italy from Instagram posts and travel brochures. The one where you spend €50 on a mediocre carbonara while sitting next to the Colosseum, wondering why your bank account is crying harder than you did watching The Notebook. But what if I told you there's another Italy? An Italy where you can live comfortably on $700 a month, eat better food than those overpriced tourist traps, and actually experience authentic Italian culture. Without selling a kidney, this isn't some fantasy land we're talking about. This is real Italy. The one that exists beyond the selfie sticks and tour buses. The Italy where an espresso costs €1, where your neighbors become your family, and where the biggest decision of your day might be choosing between limoncello or grappa after dinner. It's the Italy where retired teachers from Ohio are living like royalty in medieval hilltop towns, where digital nomads are working from terraces overlooking the Mediterranean, and where the cost of living is so low you'll think someone made a mathematical error. But here's the thing nobody tells you in those glossy travel magazines. Italy isn't just one country. It's more like 20 different countries wearing the same flag. The businesswoman rushing through Milan's financial district has about as much in common with the fisherman mending nets in a Sicilian village as a New York stockbroker has with an Alaskan crab fisherman. The Italy you can afford, the real Italy, exists in those forgotten corners where tourists rarely venture and locals still remember your name after meeting you once. So buckle up, because we're about to take you on a ride through the Italy they do want you to see. The one where your biggest expense might be deciding between too many delicious wine options. Where your morning commute involves walking through streets older than most civilizations. And where $700 stretches further than your patience in a Roman traffic jam. Let's get one thing straight from the start. Italy isn't shaped like a boot because some ancient god had a foot fetish. That distinctive shape actually tells the story of why your budget can either disappear faster than tourists when it starts raining, or last longer than your Italian grandmother's guild trips. Picture Italy as a giant seesaw. On one end, you've got the industrial north, where Milan makes money faster than a Vegas casino, and Switzerland's influence means everything costs more than your first car. Cities like Milan, Turin, and Bologna are where Italian business happens, where fashion weeks drain bank accounts, and where a simple cappuccino can cost more than a full meal elsewhere. These northern powerhouses are gorgeous, efficient, and about as budget-friendly as a champagne addiction. But flip to the other end of that seesaw, and you'll find the south, where your money doesn't just stretch, it does yoga. Regions like Calabria, Sicily, Puglia, and parts of Abruzzo offer a completely different economic reality. Here, medieval towns perch on hillsides like stone crowns. The Mediterranean sparkles just beyond your doorstep, and your monthly rent might equal what northerners spend on weekend groceries. The geography isn't just about north versus south though. Italy's landscape reads like a nature documentary highlight reel. You've got the Alps creating a natural border with Switzerland and Austria, where skiing and mountain living offer their own unique lifestyle possibilities. The Dolomites provide some of the most spectacular mountain scenery on Earth, and yes, you can live there affordably if you know where to look. Then there's the coastal reality. Italy has more coastline than you can shake a gelato cone at, from the dramatic cliffs of Cinque Terre to the crystal waters of Sardinia. But hear us what the travel brochures won't tell you. Some of the most beautiful coastal areas are also some of the most affordable, especially in the south where fishing villages haven't been completely overrun by tourism yet. The Apennine Mountains run down Italy's spine like a geological backbone, creating isolated valleys and hilltop communities where life moves at the pace of wine aging and sunset watching. These mountain regions often offer the perfect sweet spot between natural beauty and affordability, where your neighbors might be shepherds who've been using the same family recipes for 3 centuries. Climate plays a huge role in this geographic lottery too. Northern Italy deals with actual winters, complete with snow and heating bills that can shock newcomers. But head south, And you're already looking at a Mediterranean climate where heating costs become almost non-existent and fresh produce grows year-round. Sicily's climate is so mild that some locals joke they forgot what seasons are supposed to feel like. This geographic diversity means your $700 budget works completely differently, depending on where you plant your flag. In Rome or Milan, that's barely enough for rent. But in a hill town in Molise or a fishing village in Calabria, that same amount covers not just housing, but food, utilities, and enough left over for weekend adventures that would cost thousands elsewhere. The Romans weren't kidding when they said all roads lead to Rome. But they forgot to mention that the most interesting destinations are often found by taking the roads that lead away from it. Italy's geography has created thousands of microclimates, microeconomies, and microcommunities, each with its own character, costs, and possibilities for affordable living. If you think Italian culture begins and ends with hand gestures and pasta, you're missing about 90% of the story. Italian daily life follows rhythms that would seem bizarre to most foreigners, but make perfect. Since once you understand the underlying philosophy, life is meant to be lived, not rushed through, like you're trying to catch the last train home. The Italian day starts with a ritual that Americans would find laughably simple, but Italians consider sacred: the morning coffee. But forget everything you know about coffee culture. Italians don't grab giant paper cups and race to work while spilling foam on their shirts. Instead, they stop at their local bar, and by bar, we mean a place that serves coffee and pastries. Not where you go to forget your ex, order an espresso, drink it in 3 sips while standing, maybe grab a cornetto, chat with the barista about last night's football match, and then continue with their day. This entire ritual takes maybe 5 minutes, but sets the tone for everything that follows. Work culture in Italy operates on what outsiders might call flexible time, but Italians simply call sensible time. The concept of rushing through lunch to maximize productivity seems as foreign as putting pineapple on pizza. Wait, scratch that. Putting pineapple on pizza is actually more acceptable to some Italians than skipping a proper lunch break. The afternoon brings the famous riposo, which isn't just a siesta, but a complete philosophy about human energy cycles. Between roughly 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., many smaller towns and businesses simply shut down. Shops close, streets empty, and the only sounds you'll hear are air conditioners humming and the occasional Vespa of someone who clearly didn't get the memo. This isn't laziness. It is recognition that forcing human activity during the hottest part of the day makes about as much sense as wearing a winter coat to the beach. But the real magic happens in the evening during the passeggiata, which sounds like a fancy pasta dish, but is actually Italy's answer to social media. Instead of scrolling through phones to see what everyone's doing, Italians simply walk through their town centers, naturally encountering friends, neighbors, and enough gossip to fuel a soap opera. This evening stroll isn't exercise in the American sense. It's social maintenance, community bonding, and entertainment all rolled into one leisurely walk. Family dynamics in Italy operate on a level that would make most therapists either very wealthy or very confused. The stereotype about Italian mothers isn't really a stereotype. It's anthropological fact. Italian families maintain connections that span generations, where your grandmother's opinion on your love life carries more weight than most people's career. Counselors. Sunday family dinners aren't optional social events. They're cultural institutions with attendance requirements stricter than most jobs. This family-centric culture creates a support system that foreign residents often find both overwhelming and incredibly comforting. Your Italian neighbors won't just know your name, they'll know your sleep schedule, your grocery preferences, and probably have opinions about your dating choices. Privacy, in the American sense, doesn't really exist. But neither does the isolation that plagues so many people in other cultures. Religious traditions weave through daily life in ways that surprise even non-religious visitors. Catholic feast days aren't just calendar dates. They are community celebrations where even atheists show up for the food and fireworks. Every town has its patron saint, and that saint's feast day becomes a local holiday complete with processions, special foods, and enough tradition to make your head spin faster than a pasta fork. The concept of bella figura, making a good impression, influences everything from how people dress to leave the house to how they interact with strangers. This isn't vanity. It's a cultural value that emphasizes respect for others and pride in presentation. You'll notice this immediately, even running quick errands. Italians dress like they might bump into their ex or their future mother-in-law. Work-life balance in Italy isn't a trendy concept discussed in corporate seminars. It has a lived reality where work serves life, not the other way around. August vacation isn't negotiable, it's constitutional. Business relationships often become personal relationships, and personal relationships often influence business decisions. Americans might call this unprofessional, but Italians call it human. Let's address the elephant in the room, or should we say, the overpriced carbonara on the tourist-packed terrace. Yes, Italian food is incredible, but everything you think you know about eating in Italy is probably wrong, overpriced, or both. The Italy where you can eat amazingly well on a tiny budget exists, but you won't find it anywhere near the Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Spanish Steps. Real Italian food culture starts with a simple principle: food is fuel for life, not Instagram content. While tourists are paying €30 for mediocre pasta, near major attractions locals are eating at family-run trattorias where the menu hasn't changed. Since the Renaissance, the portions could feed a small village and the bill leaves enough change for tomorrow's lunch. The morning coffee ritual we mentioned earlier, that espresso costs exactly €1 at most local bars, and it is better than anything you'll get from a chain that shall remain nameless. But rhymes with starsucks. Italians consider drinking coffee after 11 a.m. almost as scandalous as wearing socks. With sandals, so timing matters. Morning coffee, afternoon coffee, maybe an after-dinner coffee. But never coffee with meals because apparently that's where Italians draw their cultural lines. Breakfast in Italy would disappoint anyone expecting pancakes and bacon. Italians prefer their morning meal sweet and simple, a cornetto with coffee, maybe some cookies dipped in espresso, or bread with jam. The concept of eggs, meat, and vegetables for breakfast seems as foreign to most Italians as eating pasta with a spoon seems to everyone else. This breakfast simplicity keeps morning costs minimal and leaves room for the day's real food events. Lunch becomes the day's main theatrical performance, especially in smaller towns where the afternoon riposo allows for proper meal appreciation. A typical Italian lunch might start with antipasti, not the overloaded tourist platters, but simple, high-quality ingredients like local cheese, cured meats, or marinated vegetables. Then comes primi piatti, your pasta course, but prepared with whatever's fresh and local, not necessarily what appears on tourist menus. The pasta itself tells stories about regional pride and available ingredients. In coastal areas, seafood pasta dominates, often featuring catch-of-the-day pricing that makes lobster pasta affordable. Mountain regions favor hearty sauces with wild mushrooms, game, or rich cheese. The South celebrates vegetables and simple preparations, while the North adds cream and butter like they're trying to insulate against alpine winters. Wine culture operates on economics that would make American wine lovers weep with joy. In many southern regions, local wine costs less than bottled water. And we're not talking about rot gut. That removes paint. We're talking about wines that would sell for $20 a bottle in fancy restaurants elsewhere. Local cantinas sell wine by the liter in unmarked bottles. And asking for the wine list at a neighborhood trattoria might earn you confused stares, because there is usually just red or white from whatever vineyard the owner's cousin operates. Shopping for groceries requires understanding the Italian relationship with freshness that borders on obsession. Daily shopping isn't inconvenience, it's cultural practice. Local markets offer seasonal produce at prices that make organic supermarket shoppers question their life choices. A kilogram of tomatoes during peak season might cost what Americans pay for a single heirloom tomato, and the quality difference is noticeable even to people who think vegetables are just colorful. Obstacles between them and dessert. Regional specialties create food adventures that cost almost nothing, but provide memories lasting decades. Puglia offers burrata so fresh it's still warm. For prices that wouldn't buy processed cheese elsewhere, Sicily provides street food that combines Arabic, Italian, and Spanish influences in ways that would confuse food historians but delight anyone with functioning taste buds. Emilia-Romagna creates prosciutto and Parmigiano that justify entire pilgrimages, available at source prices that make export prices seem criminal. The aperitivo culture transforms evening socializing into an art form where alcohol comes with enough free food to constitute dinner. Northern cities perfect this tradition, where ordering one drink often includes access to buffets that would satisfy most appetites. Southern regions might offer simpler fare, but at prices that make happy hour actually happy for your wallet. Restaurant culture operates on unwritten rules that separate tourists from locals faster than passport checks. Locals know which places offer fixed-price menus during lunch that include multiple courses, wine, and coffee for less than tourists pay for appetizers. They understand that the best restaurants often look unremarkable from outside, but serve food that makes you question everything you thought you knew about Italian cuisine. Seasonal eating isn't trendy lifestyle choice in Italy. It's economic necessity and cultural tradition. Spring brings artichokes and fresh peas. Summer explodes with tomatoes, zucchini, and stone fruits. Autumn offers mushrooms, chestnuts, and harvest celebrations. Winter provides citrus from the south and preserved foods that carry summer flavors through cold months. Eating seasonally keeps costs low and flavors high, while connecting meals to the natural rhythms that govern life outside major cities. The romantic Italy of Hollywood movies and travel brochures exists, but it shares space with reality in ways that might surprise anyone whose knowledge comes from under the Tuscan sun, or that movie where Julia Roberts eats her feelings in Rome. Italian romance and social life operate according to rules that blend traditional values with modern realities, creating a dating and social landscape that's both familiar and completely foreign to most outsiders. Italian men have a reputation that precedes them faster than their cologne. But the reality is more complex than the stereotype of smooth-talking charmers who serenade women from balconies. Regional differences matter enormously here. Northern Italian men often embody efficiency and style that mirrors their business-focused environment, while Southern Italian men might fit the passionate stereotype more closely, though often with a healthy dose of irony about their own romantic reputation. The concept of mammon, men who remain closely tied to their mothers well into adulthood, isn't just a comedic stereotype, but a real cultural phenomenon that influences dating patterns. Many Italian men live with their families until marriage, not because they're lazy or dependent, but because family bonds are considered more important than independence. This can shock foreigners who expect adults to live separately, but it creates different relationship dynamics where family approval carries significant weight. Italian women, meanwhile, navigate expectations that blend traditional family values with modern career aspiration in ways that would challenge any lifestyle coach. The stereotype of Italian women as passionate and family-focused contains truth. But modern Italian women are also highly educated, career-oriented, and increasingly independent. They often maintain closer family ties than their international counterparts while building professional lives that rival anyone's ambitions. Dating culture varies dramatically between regions and generations. In larger cities like Milan or Rome, dating might resemble patterns found elsewhere in Europe, with casual meetings, online dating, and modern relationship progression. But in smaller towns, especially in the South, traditional courtship patterns persist where families remain involved in relationship decisions, and community opinion influences romantic choices. The Passeggiato we mentioned earlier serves as Italy's original dating app, where young people see and are seen, make eye contact across piazzas, and begin romantic connections that unfold over weeks or months of carefully orchestrated, accidental encounters. This traditional method creates relationships rooted in community and family approval rather than profile photos and swipe mechanics. Marriage traditions reveal cultural values that prioritize family celebration over individual preference. Italian weddings often involve entire communities, with guest lists that include extended family, neighbors, and anyone who sold the family groceries for more than 5 years. The financial investment in weddings can be substantial, but family contribution is expected, creating celebrations that strengthen community bonds beyond the couple's relationship. Social life centers around food and family in ways that make individual entertainment seem almost antisocial. Going out for drinks with friends often means finding a place where snacks come free with beverages, where conversation matters more than atmosphere, and where the evening's entertainment comes from talking rather than external stimulation. This creates social costs that remain manageable even on tight budgets. Since conversation is free, and Italian conversation is Olympic-level entertainment, nightlife varies enormously between tourist areas and local haunts, while tourists pay premium prices for mediocre experiences. Near major attractions, locals know bars where wine costs less than soft drinks, where the bartender remembers your usual order after 2 visits, and where closing time depends more on conversation quality than posted hours. The concept of friendship in Italy operates with intensity that might overwhelm people from cultures that value personal space and independence. Italian friendships often involve daily contact, family integration, and loyalty that extends across decades. Making Italian friends as a foreigner requires patience and genuine interest, but the relationships that develop often become deeper and more supportive than many people experience elsewhere. Gender roles and relationships reflect Italy's position between traditional Catholic values and modern European attitudes. Older generations might maintain more traditional expectations about family roles and relationship dynamics, while younger Italians increasingly embrace equality and shared responsibilities. This generational transition creates interesting social dynamics where traditional and modern relationship models coexist, sometimes within the same family. Social class influences romantic and social opportunities in ways that reflect Italy's complex history with nobility, family status, and regional pride. While modern Italy is officially egalitarian, subtle class markers continue to influence social interactions, from accent and vocabulary choices to family background and educational achievements. Understanding these dynamics helps foreigners navigate social situations with appropriate sensitivity. Italian festivals aren't tourist attractions. They are time machines that transport entire communities into celebrations that have continued for centuries with the dedication of religious zealots and the enthusiasm of people who really know how to party. These aren't sanitized cultural exhibitions created for visitors with cameras. They're living traditions where participation matters more than observation, and where the line between sacred and secular blurs like watercolors and rain. The festival calendar starts before most people recover from New Year's hangovers, with carnival season transforming entire regions into theatrical stages, where normal social rules get suspended, like disbelief at a magic show. Venice's carnival gets the international attention, but local carnival celebrations throughout Italy offer more authentic experiences at fraction of the cost. Small-town carnivals feature handmade costumes passed down through families, local bands that play traditional music with passion that compensates for any technical limitations, and food stalls where grandmothers serve recipes that predate most governments. Spring brings Easter celebrations that make Christmas look restrained. Holy Week processions in southern Italy create spectacles that combine religious devotion with theatrical drama, where entire towns participate in reenacting biblical scenes with seriousness that would impress method actors. The processions wind through medieval streets carrying statues decorated with flowers and jewelry donated by families whose ancestors made similar contributions centuries earlier. But the real festival magic happens during patron saint celebrations, where every Italian town honors its spiritual protector with festivities that blend religious ceremony, community pride, and excuse for really impressive parties. These festivals follow patterns established centuries ago: morning religious services, afternoon processions, evening feasting, and night-long celebrations that test the endurance of even the most dedicated partygoers. Sagras represent Italy's genius for combining food celebration with community bonding. These food festivals focus on single ingredients or dishes transforming entire towns into open-air restaurants where locals serve specialties prepared according to family recipes that have survived wars, famines, and changes in government. The Sagra del Cinghiale celebrates wild boar, the Sagra della Castagna honors chestnuts, and dozens of other festivals elevate everything from truffles to tomatoes into reasons for community-wide celebration. The costs associated with festival participation often surprise visitors. While major tourist destinations charge premium prices for festival experiences, local festivals operate on community economics where participation matters more than profit. Festival food is priced for locals, not tourists, meaning incredible meals cost what you'd pay for appetizers in tourist areas. Wine flows like water, often provided by local vineyards as community contribution rather than commercial venture. Summer festivals reach their peak during August, when the entire country seems dedicated to celebration rather than productivity. The Ferragosto holiday triggers festivities that combine religious tradition with vacation mentality, creating celebrations that last for days rather than hours. Beach festivals along the coast feature fresh seafood, local wines, and dancing that continues until sunrise over the Mediterranean. Harvest festivals celebrate the connection between community and land that defines much of Italian culture. Wine harvest festivals feature communal grape stomping, traditional music, and enough local wine to float considerable naval vessels. Olive harvest celebrations honor the ancient trees that provide liquid gold for Italian tables, with festivities that include olive pressing demonstrations, traditional foods prepared with fresh oil, and competitions that take olive quality as seriously as Olympic events. Religious festivals reveal the complex relationship between Catholic tradition and Italian cultural identity. Even non-religious Italians often participate in religious festivals as cultural rather than spiritual events, where community belonging matters more than personal belief. These festivals provide insight into Italian history, values, and social structures in ways that museums and guidebooks cannot match. Regional festivals showcase the incredible diversity within Italian culture, where neighboring provinces might have completely different traditions despite sharing language and government. Sicilian festivals incorporate Arabic and Spanish influences. Northern festivals reflect Austrian and French connections, and Central Italian festivals maintain connections to papal traditions and Roman heritage. Winter festivals provide warmth and community during the coldest months, with celebrations that focus on comfort food, family gatherings, and traditions that strengthen social bonds during challenging seasons. Christmas markets in northern Italy rival those found in Germany and Austria, while southern regions celebrate with festivals that emphasize family reunification and traditional foods that require days of preparation. Participation in these festivals requires understanding unwritten rules about appropriate behavior, dress, and contribution expectations. Visitors who approach festivals with respect for local traditions and genuine interest in participation rather than observation often find themselves welcomed into communities in ways that create lasting relationships and deeper cultural understanding. Let's talk money, because all the cultural appreciation in the world won't help if your bank account is emptier than a Roman amphitheater in winter. The $700 monthly budget is marketing fiction. It has mathematical reality in specific locations under particular circumstances, with lifestyle adjustments that might surprise anyone accustomed to different spending patterns. Housing represents the largest variable in this equation, and location determines whether $700 covers everything or barely covers rent. In major tourist cities like Rome, Florence, or Venice, $700 might rent you a closet with delusions of grandeur. But venture into Italy's forgotten corners, hill towns in Molise, fishing villages in Calabria, or mountain communities in Abruzzo, and that same amount secures apartments with views that would cost thousands elsewhere. The secret lies in understanding Italy's regional economic disparities. Northern Italy operates on Swiss-influenced economics where efficiency and prosperity drive prices upward. Central Italy balances tourism revenue with local economies, creating mixed pricing that varies dramatically between tourist zones and residential areas. Southern Italy, despite incredible natural beauty and rich culture. Operates on economics that makes $700 stretch like Italian leather. Rent in affordable Italian locations. Typically ranges from $200 to $400 monthly for modest but comfortable accommodations. These aren't luxury apartments with modern amenities, but they're functional spaces in buildings that have housed families for centuries, often featuring architectural details that would cost fortunes to recreate elsewhere. Many include basic furnishings, reducing initial setup costs that can devastate tight budgets. Utilities at approximately $50 to $100 monthly, depending on season and heating requirements. Southern regions enjoy Mediterranean climates that minimize heating costs, while northern locations require winter heating that can shock newcomers. Electricity costs more in Italy than in many countries, but smaller living spaces and different usage patterns help control expenses. Food expenses operate on completely different economics than tourist restaurant pricing suggests. Local markets, seasonal shopping, and cooking at home can limit food costs to $150 monthly while maintaining nutrition and enjoyment that surpass many restaurant meals. The key lies in understanding local shopping patterns, seasonal availability, and preparation methods that maximize flavor while minimizing expense. Transportation costs vary enormously. Based on location and lifestyle choices, urban areas offer public transportation that provides excellent value for money, while rural locations might require occasional bus or train travel for supplies and services. Many affordable Italian locations are walkable, reducing transportation to occasional rather than daily expenses. Owning a car adds significant costs through fuel, insurance, and maintenance, but isn't necessary in many small towns where daily needs are accessible on foot. Healthcare presents one of Italy's genuine advantages for budget-conscious residents. The National Health Service provides basic medical care for residents, including emergency services and routine health care that would cost thousands in countries without universal coverage. Private health care remains available for those who prefer additional options, but basic health care needs are covered through the public system. Internet and communication services cost approximately $30 to $50 monthly for adequate service, though rural locations might have limited options compared to urban areas. Mobile phone service is generally affordable and reliable throughout most of Italy, though international calling can add expenses for people maintaining connections abroad. Entertainment and miscellaneous expenses can remain minimal in Italian small towns where social life centers around free or low-cost activities. Local festivals, community events, and social gatherings provide entertainment that costs little but offers rich cultural experiences. Museums, concerts, and other cultural activities often offer reduced pricing for residents compared to tourist rates. Seasonal variations affect budget calculations significantly. Summer months might require air conditioning costs in southern regions, while winter heating becomes necessary in northern areas. Tourist seasons can increase local prices temporarily, but they also create temporary employment opportunities for extra income. The $700 budget assumes certain lifestyle adjustments that might challenge people accustomed to different consumption patterns. Shopping at discount supermarkets rather than specialty stores, cooking most meals at home, choosing local wines over imported beverages, and embracing seasonal eating patterns all contribute to budget success, while potentially improving health and cultural integration. Hidden costs can surprise unprepared budget planners. Bureaucratic requirements might involve unexpected fees for permits, registrations, and official documentation. Appliance repairs or replacements can strain tight budgets, especially in older buildings with aging infrastructure. Emergency travel or unexpected medical expenses not covered by basic health care can create financial challenges. Income opportunities exist even for people on tourist visas through language tutoring, freelance work, or seasonal employment, though legal requirements vary based on residency status. Digital nomads with reliable internet income often find Italy provides excellent value for remote work, especially in areas with lower living costs but adequate internet infrastructure. Transportation in Italy operates according to principles that blend efficiency with chaos. tradition with innovation, and practicality with style in ways that would confuse traffic engineers but somehow manage to work most of the time. Understanding Italian transportation means accepting that schedules are suggestions, routes are recommendations, and the journey often matters more than the destination. The Italian rail system represents one of Europe's genuine successes, connecting major cities with high-speed trains that rival anything found elsewhere, while maintaining regional services that reach smaller towns with dedication that borders on stubbornness. The high-speed freight trains between major cities offer comfort and reliability that justify their premium pricing for special occasions, while regional trains provide affordable transportation that turns travel into social experiences where conversations with strangers become temporary friendships. Booking train tickets reveals the first lesson in Italian transportation economics. Advanced planning saves significant money, while spontaneity costs premium prices. Regional trains often don't require reservations, allowing flexible travel at fixed prices, while high-speed services use dynamic pricing that rewards early booking and punishes last-minute decisions like airline pricing systems. Bus transportation fills gaps that trains cannot reach, connecting remote towns and rural areas with services that demonstrate impressive dedication to maintaining connections despite challenging geography and minimal passenger loads. These bus routes often provide the only public transportation to affordable housing areas, making bus schedules important considerations for budget-conscious residents choosing where to live. Urban transportation varies dramatically between major cities and smaller towns. Rome and Milan operate comprehensive public transportation systems with metros, buses, and trams that provide excellent value for residents while remaining navigable for visitors. Florence and Venice offer more limited but adequate public transit that accommodates tourism while serving local needs. Smaller cities might have minimal public transit, but their compact size makes walking practical for most daily needs. The famous Italian relationship with scooters and motorcycles isn't just cultural stereotype, it has practical response to urban design that predates automotive transportation. Italian cities developed around walking and horse transportation, creating street layouts that challenge modern vehicles, but accommodate two-wheeled transportation perfectly. Scooters provide affordable, efficient urban mobility while requiring minimal parking and fuel consumption. Driving in Italy requires understanding unwritten rules that supplement official traffic laws in ways that would terrify driving instructors, but somehow create functional, if chaotic, traffic flow. Italian drivers operate with aggressive courtesy, where close following distances and rapid lane changes combine with genuine consideration for pedestrians and cyclists. Horn usage serves as communication rather than aggression, conveying information about intentions and situations rather than expressing anger. Parking in Italian cities presents challenges that test problem-solving skills and patience equally. Historic city centers often restrict vehicle access to residents and authorized personnel, while parking costs in tourist areas can exceed accommodation expenses. Many affordable housing areas exist outside historic centers where parking remains available and affordable, though this might require longer walks or public transportation for city center activities. Car ownership costs in Italy include expenses that might surprise newcomers. Fuel prices typically exceed those found in many countries, while insurance costs vary based on location, age, and driving history. Annual registration fees, mandatory inspections, and parking permits add ongoing expenses that constrain tight budgets. However, car ownership provides access to rural areas and small towns where affordable living options are most abundant. The bicycle culture varies significantly between regions and cities. Northern cities like Bologna and Ferrara embrace cycling as practical transportation, with infrastructure that supports bicycle commuting. Coastal areas often provide bicycle rental options for recreational use, while mountain regions cater to serious cycling enthusiasts with challenging routes and supportive services. Regional transportation differences reflect geographical and economic realities. Northern Italy generally provides more frequent and reliable public transportation, while southern regions might have less comprehensive coverage but often offer more affordable pricing. Islands like Sicily and Sardinia operate ferry systems that connect with mainland transportation networks, though scheduling and pricing require additional planning. Walking remains the most practical transportation for daily life in many Italian towns and city centers. Historic areas designed for pedestrian traffic provide pleasant walking experiences, while offering access to shops, services, and social opportunities within comfortable distances. The Italian practice of evening walks for social interaction demonstrates how walking serves transportation and entertainment functions simultaneously. Seasonal variations affect transportation planning significantly. Summer tourist seasons can overwhelm public transportation in popular areas, while creating traffic congestion that makes driving impractical. Winter weather occasionally disrupts transportation in northern and mountain regions, though Italian infrastructure generally handles weather challenges effectively. While millions of visitors flock to Rome's Colosseum and Venice's canals, some of Italy's most spectacular destinations remain virtually unknown to international tourism, offering incredible experiences at local prices and settings that feel like personal discoveries rather than shared tourist attractions. These hidden gems provide the authentic Italian experiences that many travelers seek, but rarely find in guidebook recommendations. Matera represents one of Italy's most extraordinary destinations that most people cannot pronounce correctly, much less locate on a map. This ancient city carved into limestone cliffs offers cave dwellings that have housed human civilization continuously for thousands of years. Walking through Matera feels like time travel, without the science fiction, where modern restaurants serve contemporary cuisine in dining rooms that Paleolithic humans might have called home. Accommodation costs a fraction of what similar uniqueness would command elsewhere, while the setting provides backdrops that make every photograph look professionally composed. The Dolomites provide alpine experiences that rival Switzerland's attractions at Italian prices, which means spectacular without requiring mortgage refinancing. These dramatic mountain peaks offer hiking, skiing, and scenic beauty that challenge any superlative vocabulary, while accommodation and dining costs remain reasonable compared to their northern neighbors. Small mountain towns provide authentic alpine culture with Italian warmth, creating combinations that satisfy both adventure seekers and culture enthusiasts. Puglia, the heel of Italy's boot, offers coastline that competes with anywhere in the Mediterranean while maintaining prices that reflect local rather than international economics. Towns like Polignano e Mare provide cliff-top dining experiences overlooking crystal waters, while Oberobello features trolley houses that look like architectural fairy tales. The entire region operates at a pace that makes relaxation inevitable, while offering food specialties that justify entire culinary pilgrimages. Calabria, forming Italy's toe, combines mountain wilderness with pristine coastline in a region that remains largely undiscovered by mass tourism. The Aspromonte National Park offers hiking and nature experiences that rival more famous destinations, while coastal areas provide beach experiences without the crowds and prices found in northern regions. Traditional villages maintain customs and cuisines that have changed little over centuries, offering cultural authenticity that many tourist destinations have lost. The Cinque Terre receives substantial tourist attention, but the lesser-known coastal areas of Liguria offer similar dramatic coastline, with significantly fewer crowds and lower costs. Towns like Tailaro and Porvenere provide the same spectacular Mediterranean settings with local pricing and authentic experiences that allow genuine cultural immersion rather than tourist observation. Central Italian regions like Umbria and La Marche offer Renaissance art, medieval architecture, and rolling countryside that rivals Tuscany's famous landscapes while maintaining local character that tourism hasn't completely transformed. Hill towns like Spoleto, Ascoli Piceno, and Urbino provide cultural richness that equals more famous destinations, while offering accommodation and dining at prices that encourage extended exploration rather than brief visits. Island destinations beyond Sicily and Sardinia offer unique experiences at affordable prices. Elba provides Napoleon's exile location with modern amenities beautiful beaches, and wine production that creates perfect combinations of history, relaxation, and local culture. Smaller islands like Ponza and Procida offer fishing village authenticity with crystal waters, and local cuisine that has been adapted for international tastes. Northern Italy's lake regions extend beyond famous Lake Como to include equally beautiful but less expensive options like Lake Orta and Lake Iseo, where accommodation costs remain manageable while natural beauty and recreational opportunities match more famous destinations. These lakes provide perfect settings for relaxation and outdoor activities without the premium pricing that fame creates. Mountain regions throughout Italy offer affordable living combined with spectacular natural settings. Towns in Abruzzo, Basilicata, and Molise provide access to national parks, hiking, and outdoor recreation while maintaining costs that make extended stays practical. For budget-conscious travelers, winter sports areas often transform into hiking and outdoor recreation destinations during summer months, providing year-round appeal. Archaeological sites throughout Italy extend far beyond Rome's famous attractions, to include lesser-known Roman ruins, Greek temples, and prehistoric sites that provide historical experiences without crowds and entrance fees. Southern Italy particularly offers Greek and Roman archaeological sites that rival more famous locations while providing intimate experiences that allow genuine historical appreciation. Italy's safety profile often surprises visitors who arrive expecting dramatic crime rates based on movie stereotypes or sensationalized media reports. The reality is considerably more mundane and reassuring. Most of Italy operates with safety levels that exceed those found in many developed countries, though understanding regional variations and practical precautions helps ensure positive experiences. Violent crime rates in Italy generally remain low compared to international standards, with most safety concerns involving property crime and petty theft rather than serious personal threats. Tourist areas experience higher rates of pickpocketing and minor scams, but these issues rarely escalate beyond financial inconvenience. Small towns and rural areas often provide safety levels that might surprise people from urban environments, where unlocked doors and unattended belongings represent normal rather than risky behavior. The healthcare system represents one of Italy's genuine strengths, providing universal coverage that includes both residence and emergency treatment for visitors. The Servizio Sanitario Nazionale offers medical care through public facilities that maintain quality standards comparable to private healthcare elsewhere, while costs remain minimal for routine care and emergency treatment. Private healthcare options exist for those preferring shorter wait times or additional services, but public healthcare adequately serves most medical needs. Emergency services operate efficiently throughout Italy, with unified emergency numbers that connect callers to appropriate services regardless of location. Response times in urban areas generally meet international standards, while rural areas might experience longer delays due to geographical challenges. The emergency system accommodates multiple languages, though basic Italian knowledge helps communication during stressful situations. Prescription medications require understanding different availability and pricing structures compared to other countries. Many medications available over the counter elsewhere require prescriptions in Italy, while some prescriptions from other countries might not transfer directly to Italian equivalents. Pharmacists provide knowledgeable consultation for minor health issues and can recommend appropriate treatments for common problems. Natural disaster preparedness reflects Italy's location in a seismically active region, where earthquakes occur periodically, though major disasters remain relatively rare. Building codes and newer construction incorporate earthquake resistance, while older buildings might have structural vulnerabilities. Understanding local emergency procedures and having basic emergency supplies represents reasonable precaution rather than paranoid preparation. Traffic safety requires adapting to driving patterns that emphasize communication and flow over rigid rule adherence. Italian drivers generally demonstrate skill and awareness that compensate for aggressive styles, but pedestrians and cyclists need heightened awareness in traffic situations. Urban areas often provide good pedestrian infrastructure, while rural roads might lack sidewalks and require careful attention. Personal safety for women traveling or living alone generally compares favorably to international standards. Though cultural differences in social interaction might require adjustment, Italian men often demonstrate verbal appreciation for women in ways that range from complimentary to annoying, but serious harassment remains relatively uncommon. Understanding cultural norms helps distinguish between harmless cultural behavior and genuinely problematic situations. Scam awareness becomes important in tourist areas where various schemes target visitors through false emergencies, overcharging, and distraction techniques. Common scams include restaurant bill padding, fake police checks, and charity solicitations. Though awareness and basic precautions usually prevent victimization, local residents often provide warnings about current scam tactics and help distinguish legitimate from suspicious situations. Financial security requires understanding banking practices and payment systems that might differ from other countries. ATM availability is generally good in urban areas, but might be limited in rural locations. Credit card acceptance varies, with smaller establishments often preferring cash transactions. Carrying moderate cash amounts for daily expenses while securing larger amounts represents practical financial management. Quality of life measurements consistently rank Italy highly for factors including climate, cultural opportunities, social connections, and work-life balance. The Mediterranean climate provides year-round outdoor opportunities, while cultural heritage offers constant learning and entertainment possibilities. Social structures emphasize family and community connections that provide support systems many people lack elsewhere. Environmental quality varies by region, but generally provides clean air and water compared to many industrial areas. Coastal and mountain regions offer particularly high environmental quality, while urban areas might experience pollution challenges similar to other European cities. Access to fresh, local food and outdoor recreation opportunities supports healthy lifestyle choices. Navigating Italian bureaucracy requires patience, preparation, and occasionally the diplomatic skills of a United Nations ambassador. But understanding the visa and legal requirements can mean the difference between living your Italian dream and watching it become an expensive nightmare. The good news is that Italy genuinely wants foreign residents who contribute positively to local communities. The challenging news is that proving your positive contribution requires paperwork that would impress tax attorneys. Tourist visas allow most visitors 90 days within any 180-day period for citizens from many countries, providing ample time to explore potential long-term living situations without immediate legal complications. This tourist period offers opportunities to scout locations, establish local connections, and understand practical living requirements before committing to more permanent arrangements. Student visas provide one of the most accessible paths to longer-term Italian residence, particularly given Italy's numerous universities and educational institutions that welcome international students. Language schools, cooking programs, art instruction, and traditional academic studies all qualify for student visa consideration. Though programs must meet specific requirements for visa approval, student status often provides access to reduced-cost services and cultural activities, while establishing legal residence that can lead to longer-term options. Work visas require employment sponsorship that can challenge freelancers and independent contractors. Though European Union citizens enjoy significantly more flexibility in work authorization, non-EU citizens need employment offers before visa applications, creating chicken and egg situations where securing employment requires presence that work visas are designed to provide. However, certain professions and skill sets enjoy preferential consideration, particularly in sectors where labor shortages exist. Self-employment and business visas offer possibilities for entrepreneurs and freelancers willing to navigate complex requirements, including financial guarantees, business plan submissions, and proof of economic viability. These visas require demonstrating sufficient funds to support business operations without becoming public charges. Those successful applications provide substantial flexibility in residence and work activities, retirement visas accommodate people with sufficient passive income to support themselves without employment, though income requirements vary and must be documented through official sources. Many retirees find Italian residence attractive due to healthcare benefits, cultural opportunities, and cost of living advantages, particularly in southern regions where housing and daily expenses remain reasonable. Family reunification visas allow people with Italian or EU citizen spouses to establish residence, though marriage documentation and relationship proof require extensive verification. These visas often provide the most direct path to permanent residence, though they require genuine relationships rather than marriages of convenience, which Italian authorities investigate thoroughly. The permesso di soggiorno represents the crucial residence permit required for stays exceeding tourist visa limits, regardless of initial visa type. Obtaining this permit requires appointments at immigration offices that book weeks in advance, documentation that seems to multiply while you're not watching, and patience that would challenge Buddhist monks. However, the permesso provides legal residence status that enables access to services, employment, and longer-term planning. Tax obligations for Italian residents include requirements that might surprise people accustomed to different systems. Italian tax rates can be substantial, though various deductions and allowances help reduce overall tax burden. Understanding tax obligations before establishing residence prevents unpleasant surprises that can transform dream relocations into financial nightmares. Healthcare registration requires enrollment in the National Health Service for residents, providing access to medical care while creating administrative obligations, including regular registration updates and contribution payments for employed residents. The healthcare system generally provides excellent value, though understanding enrollment procedures and service access helps maximize benefits. Banking requirements for residents include documentation that exceeds tourist account opening procedures, though having Italian bank accounts simplifies many administrative processes, including bill payment and salary deposits. Many banks offer accounts specifically designed for new residents, though fees and requirements vary significantly between institutions. Housing contracts and rental agreements operate under Italian law that provides tenant protections, while creating obligations for both tenants and landlords. Understanding rental laws, deposit requirements, and utility responsibilities helps prevent disputes that can complicate resident status. And financial planning. Language requirements for various visa types range from minimal to substantial, though Italian language skills dramatically improve daily life quality regardless of legal requirements. Many administrative processes require Italian language capability, while social integration depends heavily on communication abilities that extend beyond tourist phrases. Legal assistance becomes valuable for complex visa situations or when navigating bureaucratic challenges that exceed individual capabilities. Immigration lawyers and consultants provide expertise that can prevent costly mistakes, though their services require financial investment that must be balanced against potential benefits and risks. So here we are, at the end of our 7,000-word adventure through the Italy that travel brochures do advertise and Instagram influencers rarely discover. We've wandered through medieval hill towns where your monthly rent equals what others pay for weekend hotel stays, explored morning coffee rituals that cost less than fancy chain store drinks, and uncovered the secret economics of living well on what most people spend on car payments. But let's be honest about what we've really been discussing here. This isn't just about stretching $700 until it screams for mercy, though we've certainly shown that's possible in the right locations, with the right lifestyle adjustments. This is about something much more valuable than budget calculations and cost of living spreadsheets. This is about the possibility of living a life that prioritizes experience over accumulation, community over isolation, and quality over quantity in ways that most people only dream about while stuck in traffic during their daily commutes. The Italy we've explored together exists in thousands of small towns scattered across the landscape. That ranges from alpine peaks to Mediterranean beaches, from volcanic islands to rolling vineyard-covered hills. It exists in morning conversations with neighbors who remember your coffee preferences, and afternoon siestas that acknowledge human energy cycles instead of fighting them, and in evening walks, where entertainment comes from conversation and community rather than screens and streaming. Services. This Italy operates on economic principles that might seem impossible to anyone accustomed to urban cost of living calculations where housing consumes half of income, and dining out requires special occasion justification. But the numbers we've discussed aren't fantasy figures pulled from optimistic imagination. They're a real cost in real places where real people live real lives that happen to cost substantially less than what most people consider normal. The cultural richness we've described isn't museum piece preservation for tourist consumption. It's living culture where festivals celebrate community bonds, where food connects generations through shared recipes and family traditions, and where daily life follows rhythms that prioritize human relationships over productivity metrics. This culture welcomes newcomers who approach with respect and genuine interest, creating opportunities for integration that transform visitors into community members. The practical considerations we've covered, from visa requirements to healthcare access, from transportation options to seasonal budget variations, represent real challenges that require planning and adaptation. Living in Italy on $700 monthly isn't automatic or effortless. It requires lifestyle choices that prioritize experience and community over convenience and consumption patterns that many people consider normal. But here is what the numbers and practical considerations do capture. The moment when you realize that your morning walk to the local bar for coffee has become a social ritual that starts your day with human connection instead of traffic stress. The evening when you understand that your neighbor's interest in your daily activities represents community care rather than intrusive curiosity. The afternoon when you discover that the 3-hour lunch break allows time for relationship building that improves life quality in ways that productivity optimization cannot match. The Italy we've explored offers possibilities for people at different life stages, with varying circumstances. Recent graduates can extend their education through language immersion and cultural exploration, while living costs remain manageable. Career professionals can test remote work possibilities while experiencing life in settings that inspire rather than drain energy. Retirees can stretch fixed incomes while accessing healthcare and cultural opportunities that enhance rather than merely maintain life quality. The regional diversity we've discussed means that Italian living experiences can match almost any preference or requirement. Mountain lovers find alpine communities where hiking replaces gym memberships, and fresh air costs nothing extra. Beach enthusiasts discover coastal villages where Mediterranean living becomes daily reality rather than vacation dream. History buffs locate themselves in towns where every street corner offers architecture lessons, and every neighbor knows stories that span centuries. The food culture we've celebrated represents more than economic advantage. Though eating well for reasonable costs certainly improves life quality, it represents connection to seasonal rhythms, local production, and social traditions that create meaning beyond mere nutrition. Learning to shop at local markets, cook with seasonal ingredients, and appreciate regional wine varietals becomes cultural education that happens to save money while improving health. The social aspects we've explored offer antidotes to isolation and loneliness that plague many people in cultures that prioritize individual achievement over community belonging. Italian social structures provide built-in support systems through extended family connections, neighborhood relationships, and community traditions that create belonging without requiring formal group memberships or structured social activities. So the question isn't really whether you can live in Italy for $700 monthly. We've demonstrated that it's mathematically possible in specific circumstances, with appropriate lifestyle adaptations. The real question is whether you're ready to consider life possibilities that prioritize different values than maximum income potential, career advancement according to traditional metrics, or accumulation of possessions that require increasingly expensive storage solutions. The Italy we've described exists for people willing to embrace different definitions of success, security, and satisfaction. It rewards curiosity over certainty, adaptation over rigid planning, and community integration over individual independence. It offers experiences that create stories worth telling rather than possessions that require maintenance and insurance. Your Italian adventure might begin with budget calculations and practical research, but it will succeed or fail based on your willingness to embrace different ways of living, thinking, and connecting with both place and people. The $700 budget is just the entry fee for experiences that cannot be purchased at any price in many other locations. The question isn't whether Italy is waiting for you. Italy has been there for centuries and will continue long after we rate all history museum exhibits. The question is whether you're ready for Italy with all its bureaucratic challenges, cultural adjustments, language requirements, and lifestyle changes that transform dreams into daily reality. So tell us in the comments, would you trade your current life situation for the possibility of living in Italy for $700 monthly? What appeals to you most about this lifestyle possibility? What concerns you most about making such a dramatic change? And if you've already made similar moves, what advice would you share with others considering their own Italian adventures? Because ultimately, that's what this has all been about. Not just budget travel or cost of living arbitrage, but the possibility of choosing life experiences that align with values that prioritize human connection, cultural richness, and daily beauty over financial accumulation and career advancement according to other people's definitions of success. The Italy of $700 monthly living awaits your decision. The only question remaining is whether you're brave enough to choose adventure over security, community over independence, and experience over accumulation. Your Italian story is waiting to be written, one espresso, one sunset, and one neighbor conversation at a time.